What's up, guys? I had a few of you email me about my most recent video, and you guys were asking about signs of trauma. So I brought on Anne again. Anne is a retired lawyer, but more importantly, she spent over a decade working in counseling for victims of domestic violence, abuse, and trauma. So she has a lot on this. Thanks for coming, Anne.
Hi, Dylan. It's nice to see you. And I really did enjoy your video about Gabby Petito. You were like right on there. Very, very
Thanks.
well done.
So people were asking a lot about, I think they're interested in for themselves, what could be signs of trauma from the past? Say if they've had past difficult relationships, how can these things rear their head into their lives nowadays? What happens to people? What are some things you saw in your experience?
Well, what happens to some people, which is a surprise, is that a lot of times when a person has left a relationship, they're out of it and they still don't feel right. Like it'll be in their nervous system, they'll be in a situation and they'll just find themselves, dysregulated, very upset, as if it's going on again. And
Mm,
these are really things that you can heal from, that there's a lot of help for. But if you don't address it and you don't have the information, you're just going to feel like, oh no, can I be out of this situation? Do I need to go back? This can't work. And that's a really common thing. And people feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me.
mm-hmm.
I left the relationship. I'm safe now, but I feel like I just can't go on. And that's a sign of trauma, and often that you've bonded with a person who's really hurting you. You also might have a feeling of loyalty to that person, or even feel sorry for them even years after you left it, or
Wow.
question yourself, was that really as bad as I thought? So people will minimize what happens to them and often not want to seek help after time has passed.
Wow.
And that's really common.
Wow, yeah. And what have you seen? Does this get better with time, or do people need to take action to help with this?
There's things that people could do, but it's really important to get some kind of help or support or education, so that
Mhm.
when it comes up, people don't just say, oh, I better go back because I don't feel better anyway. Or they might reach out to another unhealthy relationship just to be with somebody. So
Mhm.
it's really important to get information about it, take a
Yeah,
class,
yeah,
like
and I saw with Gabby Petito, she was constantly apologizing and talking herself down. Does that still happen to people once they get out of these situations? You could tell a little bit about, you were saying people have horrible things they go through and they would call up a hotline and be apologizing, right?
Oh, that's very, very common. You'd have people calling up who'd been through a horrible situation, and they would say, something like, they've been shoved through the sheetrock. I've had calls like that. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm sure you have much more serious things to deal with.
Wow.
And it was like what happened to them was really bad. So they'll be minimizing what happened to them, sometimes making excuses for the person who's done that. And for years later, they might be thinking it really was their fault, or have some shame about what happened to them, or this wouldn't have happened to them if there weren't something wrong with them.
Mm,
And so that takes time to get over. So the more education, the more help that you can get, the more you can heal. And it's almost like getting inoculation. So you have that self esteem rebuilt, that you take away that programming of that trauma bond,
yeah,
so that you can have a healthy relationship.
yeah.
The other thing that people do is they think, oh, every relationship is bad, every relationship has their problems. Well, that's not true. There really are good relationships
Mm.
that are not like that at all. And that having that hope and having that self esteem and growing that is very important. So that's why I think the information that you give is so helpful for people, and
Thanks.
you've really informed yourself about it, which is, wonderful resource for people who might not have access to, that information.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. Hopefully that covers it. And people can comment below. I'll answer comments, but Anne will probably be there in the comments as well and be able to answer some comments for you guys. All right. Thanks so much for coming.